What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cartoon Season. I am Tyler, and this is all about animation, of course. Every week, we're taking a trip down the anime side today. Doing Haikyu Season 3. Shorter season this season because it only focuses on the one match, which I really like. That was something that was different between the first two seasons. I feel like the first season showed us a lot of volleyball. Right, I think it was getting us into it, into the sport, into the craft. And then season 2, we already knew about that, so we saw a little less volleyball, a little more like on the inside of the players, right? And now this one is like, this is the match, guys. we got to do this. And so whole thing, shorter season, but it focuses more on the actual game. We see more like play-by-play rather than season 2. It was a lot of like, what's the word? When you, it's like a collage. Can't think of the word. Doesn't matter. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that today. Not too many things, like different things to talk about. I think today, for this season in particular, it's just gonna be me going through the match itself, because that's the whole season. All 10 episodes are just this one match. So I'm gonna go through that. Then obviously predictions for season 4, which is the final season that's out right now. I think there's plans for a 5th season. I imagine there is, but I'm pretty sure. I think COVID was a big thing with season 4. Like I think season 4 was gonna release earlier, then COVID hit, so it makes sense that season 5 isn't out by now. But yeah, before I start, make sure, like I always say, go to Tiger T YouTube channel. You can find other episodes of this, as well as anywhere else you get podcasts. Have a good time. And so yeah, we're just gonna go into the first match here. No more preamble. I clicked off of it, so that's cool. That's a fun thing. Come on. There we go. That's not supposed to happen. Alright, well, we're just messing up everywhere. That's fine. If you've seen this one, you've probably seen the other 2 episodes before this at the very least. So, but yeah, the big match. This is Karasuno, our boys, versus Shiratorizawa. That is the... I imagine they were the favorites to win, because they have the ace right there. If you're on YouTube, you can see the picture, just kind of the lineup of both teams. And on the very right is where you see Ushijima, yeah. He is the ace. I'm pretty sure he was like already scouted to play on the Japan team, like... like already at, like, he's still in high school, but he's playing on the Olympic stage, I imagine. But let's just get into the match. So they set the tone very early. Ushijima being the ace, kind of their anchor for everything, and he immediately scores off of Nishinoya, which that's a big deal because not very many people can score off of him. He is probably one of, if not the best libero in the tournament, I would say. That might just be biased because we've seen more of him than anyone else, but he's very good libero, and he's gotten stronger since the last couple seasons. So for Ushijima to just score off of him immediately, very rough. But it's kind of like a not a two-way street, like a two-pronged weapon, like a skewer. You know those things you use on the grill. Because on one hand, this shows how strong Ushijima is. We've already seen some videos of him, like, you know, as any good sports team does, and any good sports coach, we always have like footage of the other team playing that your team studies to kind of see, okay, this is what he does, this is his tendencies, that kind of thing. And so we've already seen some of the great ace, but this actually shows it. Like, now they've felt it. But then on the other hand, like I said, 2 prongs. Nishinoya does not get discouraged, which I think is a very big like character moment for him, because he is, you know, we've seen a lot of matches with him, obviously, and I feel like we've already seen him be one of the people that doesn't get discouraged, that he, you know, I would say minus Tanaka, he's probably the one that helps people get going the most. I mean, I guess Daichi's there too, but like, I would say Nishinoya is the one that's always kind of upbeat, and even this thing here where he could not control Yoshijima's serve at all, he's like, I'm gonna get it, and he eventually does, and we'll talk about that later. But I truly like that opening moment. And then on top of that, like I said, we see Ushijima, and he's just too powerful, which is something we knew about. But the one thing which I don't know why it wasn't mentioned before, because they have seen him play, maybe they just didn't think about it. They were just more looking at the play itself and not Ushijima as the player. But he's left-handed, and you wouldn't think that would play a lot into it, but I think when 99% of players are right-handed, when you're on defense, because we learned, I think it was last season when they were trying to get their defense up. I think it was Tsukishima when he was training with those other guys. I forget the name of the other team that he was training with, like alone basically. One of the tips that they gave him was that don't line your body up like perfectly across from the spiker. Line your body up perfectly across from the spiker's arm, because that's where the middle is going to be, so you're going to have a better chance to try to cover on like the left side of the spike or the right side of the spike, depending on if they do like a cross spike or something. Because if you do it in the middle, then they have a little bit of room on the outside to get you. So you plan, okay, almost everyone, if not, everyone is right-handed, so you prepare to jump to the right side of the spiker's body. But with this one, he's left-handed, so that throws them off for quite a while. I think it was like the entire first set, maybe even first set and a half, that they finally got accustomed to, or like started to get accustomed to hitting against a left-handed person. But honestly, that's another weapon that you can't really develop. I mean, who was it? Was it Ushijima or was it someone else that like spiked with both hands? Didn't that happen? Or maybe it was a set. I don't know, something like that. But like, I mean, I guess if you really try at it, just like anything else, I'm sure you could get your less dominant arm to get powerful and to get coordinated. There are people that are more born like ambidextrous, but I'm sure you could train it to do that. But I mean, that's a weapon he was just born with. It's another thing for him. And then a little bit later, we learn that we do not have to only deal with the ace. We have to deal with a man called Tendo Satori, aka the Guess Monster. This dude, very, he was a dude that I was upset with him the most during this match, because he's good, got a lot of points. He's the one that more so focuses on blocks aren't just about preventing points. I want to score points with my blocks, which is really cool. We've seen that a little bit throughout this show, but he's the one that really kind of defines it for us. He's the one that's known for that you don't just have to worry about your spike getting blocked. You have to have someone behind you ready to receive it from him. The only reason I was so mad at him, I don't know if I talk about him, I don't really have any other notes on him, so I probably won't talk about him again in this episode, but the reason I was so mad at him was because he's good, he deserves to be on the team, but like he was not doing that much work throughout the 5 sets. He was not doing, he was talking a lot of trash. And it's like he wasn't doing that much, it's always that thing where I mean, I guess it could be any sport, but being excited and being a team player is one thing, talking trash when your team is winning, but if you're not really doing that much, if Ushijima is scoring 20 out of the 25 points every set, I feel like maybe you should score a few more points before you throw some words at our side of the court. I was just really upset with him. Every time he spoke, every time he made a face, because that's what a lot of characters do, they make faces at each other, Tanaka's a big one for that. Just if you're not doing anything, come on. But his character is really cool though. He's the guest mod. He just uses mostly intuition, and he's also really skilled, so that boosts his intuition and that makes him more confident. And then a little bit later, we got Nishinoya and Tsukishima with the total defense, which is something that they practice. We have some flashbacks of them practicing it, and this is really cool because this is another moment in the show where we see the plan and we see the plan executed, where it's like they're like, we're not just going out there and we're good players with good skill sets and we're just kind of winging it. Like, no, they have plans, they have plays. You know, that's something that obviously in like football, right? Like football is all about plays. Like you both teams pick a play every play, I guess it's just called a play, or every possession. But I think the possession isn't the possession like the whole time. I don't know. But yeah, like, you know, even volleyball, you got plays. So you got like, we're gonna, you know, obviously it's gonna go towards Tsukishima because that's who it always goes towards. So when he does that, we're gonna take away his cross. You know, we're gonna have a triple block, which is pretty common, especially against aces like that. We're gonna have a triple block to block against the cross because he's not, you know, he's also smart. So he's gonna see the cross is blocked, but he's gonna see that there is a line spike ready to go. So I'm gonna just do that. But then we're gonna have our libero, again, one of, if not the best libero in the game right now. He's gonna receive it, and I just think that was another really cool thing because it's going back to what I was saying earlier with Nishinoya not getting discouraged, because this plan does not work the first however many times, but you know, because Ushijima spikes it and then it bounces off of Nishinoya into the stands because it's apparently going like Mach 5. But after every one, he gets upset for like half a second because he wanted to receive it, and then he turns to his team and he's like, do it again. Exact same play. I'm not gonna get down on myself for this. I know I'm an amazing libero. I am going to receive his spikes. So just don't lose confidence in me. And it eventually does work, which I'm sure I'll touch on later. But I just like that, where it's like, there are two things that Ushijima can do here. We're going to completely take away one, because even if he hits it to us, even if he's like, nah, I'm going to go through the wall, we're going to deflect it. You know, we're going to touch it at least. And so we're going to make him think that he is choosing to do a line spike right at one person, right at our libero, when we're actually funneling him, you know, to make that choice. It's like Inception. We're going to make you think it was your idea when it was really our idea. And then a little bit later, let's see. And then a little bit later, we do see their total defense working. You know, their defense causes Shiratorizawa to get impatient, right? Which is something they don't normally do. You know, they're normally out ahead and they never get behind. It's never close. You know, so they're very comfortable the whole time. But now, Karasuno's defense starting to work. You know, starting to, you know, I don't know. I don't really mention it too much, but you know, they do end up winning a set and all that, which is crazy. You know, we didn't expect that. You know, Karasuno also wasn't really a favorite going into this tournament. You know, people kind of heard about them. You know, we know them from the last season's tournament, but them facing Shiratorizawa, it was like, I mean, they're gonna lose, right? But them actually doing really well causes them to be impatient, and they start making mistakes. And this is where the defense, you know, you thought Karasuno was working on it, they were doing good so far. This is where it doubles down, because then we got Tsukishima, which again, I'll talk about him a couple more times by the end of this episode, but he's the MVP of this game, like by far. It's not even close. He is the leader of this defense, and he capitalized on this, and he finally blocks one of Ushijima's spikes. He finally blocks one. Like, he doesn't just deflect it. He doesn't just one touch it. He blocks it, and he scores a point off of it. And obviously, the play in itself is very hype, you know, because someone blocked one of Ushijima's spikes. I don't know if that's ever happened before. And we scored, obviously. That's one more point for us. That's great. You know, it's a sport. the point is to score points. But it's very hype. And again, this game just focused on, you know, Tsukishima more so. You know, I think that usually happens, you know, in terms of just single games, and then also more like seasons. You know, we do focus on certain characters more than others, because there is obviously so many. And this one definitely spotlights Tsukishima. And this is a great moment, because this is the first time we've ever seen him get excited and pumped up. Like he like yells with all the positive energy that he just blocked one of his spikes. We never see that much emotion from him. It's always calculated. It's always very cold. It's always like, if he scores, it's, well, yeah, that was the play that was designed for me to score, so I scored. Or he gets scored on, and it's like, yeah, there's nothing I could do about that. But this is the moment where he blocks something. And, throughout this whole season, I don't really mention it much, but, we do see more of Tsukishima's backstory and why he is the way he is, why he might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder against someone like Hinata. Nothing against him personally, it's just because of his own personal life and his own experiences. It's just how he feels against, like the tiny giant with his brother and all that stuff. But it does kind of culminate into this one moment. We do see more of him. I'll talk about that, obviously. But it does culminate into this one moment of him blocking the spike. And then it... and I love when the show does this, but it goes silent. And you just hear the ball hit the floor. And then it just pans over to Tsukishima, and the music starts to swell. And it's amazing. It's awesome. And then... So some other hype stuff that happens, Karasuno is always a bag of tricks. I feel like they are the bag of tricks team. I feel like every other team kind of has their thing where it's like, this team is just very big, they're very powerful, they just overwhelm you, I'm trying to think of other teams now. The other team that actually faces Nekoma in the OVAs for this season, or I guess technically it's for next season, but it doesn't really matter. They have the one spiker that everyone else on the team is very talented, but they have the one spiker that kind of drives the team. You have Nekoma itself, which I don't remember his name, but the one setter, he's kind of the root for that team. And they're individually, Nekoma's team is not very good, but they work really well as a team. And the Nekoma setter is just like, he's always like 10 steps ahead. He's always planning. We got the Iron Wall team, of course. We have Aobajosai. We got that team, and we know what they're all about. But I feel like Karasuno is just like the bag of tricks, where they be copying people's moves to a very high level. They adapt very quickly, and they just sometimes do some wild nonsense that no other team would ever attempt. And a lot of times it doesn't work out, but sometimes it does. And kind of playing off of that, we have Sugawara, who doesn't play too much. He even though he's a third year, he is the backup to Kageyama. But when he does come in, he's about to score some points, like he always does. He is one of the smartest. He's in sports they call it like IQ, right? Where it's like he has one of the highest IQs on the court. And with this, hold on everybody, just 5 seconds. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. My cat was being an animal. He's being a monster. So what was I saying? Yeah, so we got Sugawara. He's he's very smart, very high IQ, and we saw a little bit of foreshadowing. I think it was last season where he wanted to take some spikes. Nishinoya, Asahi, very surprised, but also very open to it. And then we see payoff, where it's like in that moment, it's just, everyone's working on other stuff. But no, that actually came back around, and we see Sugawara never spikes. He's a setter, right? And he's also pretty good at serving. He's not like a power server, but he can place the ball very accurately. And he spikes and he scores. And that's just another thing where the other team is like, wait, what? What? So everyone on the floor right now can spike, and that's just another thing where they do crazy stuff, but it becomes a problem for other teams, because now they have to, they don't only think at okay, well, there's a setter who, we have to worry about setter dumps, I guess. And then, we have Libero's probably not going to spikes in the bag, so that's probably tough. But you have other people on the floor that don't usually score in these ways, and now they are. That's a problem. Let's see, what else do we got? Earlier I was talking about Tsukishima. Now we have another huge one with Tsukishima where he gets injured. It's probably just from one touching a lot of Ushijima's Mach 5 spikes. But his finger gets injured, starts bleeding a little bit, I think. And that really demoralizes the team. Very similar to how last tournament Daichi gets injured. And it's like, that's tough. That's our leader. And it's also, he's also the anchor for our defense, especially at that point when our defense was terrible. We had Daichi who was solid. We had Nishinoya who was libero, but like everything other than that, like our actual skill set at defense as a team, not very good. And now Tsukishima, who's been the MVP so far, and he is now the brains behind our defense, he's out. And then that's when we start to fall behind. And that's where it gets a little scary, honestly, because we're deep. I think we're in the fourth set. It's not looking good. And I'm pretty sure that causes them to win the fourth set, I think. All I know is that it does go into all 5 sets, which is crazy. But the other team's probably feeling really good right now because, they're not stupid. They realize the talent, and what Suki brings to the team, and now he's gone. You don't really wish people to get injured generally in sports, even if you don't like them, but it's got to feel good for them. Then what else do we got? Like I said, they do start to fall behind. It's not looking very good. And then Tsukishima comes back. We do have a whole little aside with him and him thinking about stuff and his brother and all that, but he does finally return in the 5th set. I think it's like right at the end of the 5th set, like we're like halfway through, and he comes back in, and he's still not 100%, but he's ready to play, and this just causes an explosion of energy with Karasuno. They were not feeling too good before, but now he's back, and it's like we're gonna win. If he's coming back, Tsukishima, again, the arc of Tsukishima is really being shown in this season, to where it's like, if he's coming back, like old Tsukishima probably would just been like, all right, I'm out, you guys can handle this, I'm not even really that important of a team member, I don't have any special skills, so like just throw someone else in, they couldn't do worse than me, right? Now that he is still injured and still willing to come back, Karasuno, every member of Karasuno is like, we have to win this. And it's that whole thing where it's I don't know who originally said it, but it's been said a couple of times in the show where one man cannot be a 6-man team. It doesn't matter how good Ushijima is if he's the only one scoring points, and we're over here, every team member doing their thing. We're all, all the different gears and the machine and everything. If we're full steam ahead, they're not going to beat us. And it does end with one of the hypest moments in the show, where of course Hinata, our main boy, he just rips it. His spike is insane, and that point secures the win for them. And the play leading up to that, I think they've done a really good job this show so far of having like final plays be super long, and you see like every second that the ball's in the air, and then who hits it, and then who receives it, and everything. And that of course happened with this one as well, but it does end with Hinata just firing off a monster of a serve and scores the final point. And then again, like I said before, I love when the show does this, where it just goes silent. Like there's nothing, there's no music, no one's talking, no one gasps, no nothing for like a good 3 seconds. And then the crowd erupts, the team erupts, everyone off the bench rushes in and like tackles all the team members, and everyone starts crying. Even what's her name? What's her name? I don't remember it. I didn't write down the names this time. The manager, the third-year manager of the team, she's even crying, and it's like, this is great. This is a great moment. They just won. They're going to nationals to represent. And it's just amazing. There are other teams that are going to represent as well, which we learn a little later that I think it's like the oh no actually I think this is with the Tokyo area. I think like 3 teams are able to make it. No, I think 1 team won and is automatically making it, and there's like 3 other teams, which you see in the OVAs. I don't remember all the team names, but I know that Nekoma is there, and it's like it's basically like a fatal 4-way. If you ever watched wrestling, it's like a fatal 4-way, and like the top 3 teams are gonna win, and then go on to nationals to represent. Nekoma, by the way, does go, which is great. We'll talk about that a little later too in the predictions. But yeah, I just really think the season did a really good job of obviously just the single match, but they showed it in very high detail. I think everyone got to play their part. And like I said, Tsukishima, MVP of the team. I think he deserves all the praise. And yeah, we're gonna see what these next matches bring, because this is definitely their toughest match they've ever had. They've never gone to 5 sets before, and they've never faced a team like Ushijima before, even though, I mean, I like that they won. I mean, obviously, because Karasuno is like the main team in the show, but I don't really like the strategy of this team, where it's like, well, we're just gonna pick the biggest and strongest guys, and we're just gonna overpower our opponents. Like, I don't know. That's not very interesting to me. Like, facing Alba Josai, that's interesting, because they all have these skills. They're all very patient. They're all very calculated. And then you have Nekoma, who's the very same way. And then, you have these teams with these gimmicks, whereas and they're fun to watch because of it. But then you have a team like this, and it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of glad that we beat them, because they're just big and strong. That's all they are. I mean, they are skilled, but I don't know. It's not always super interesting to watch. Like, the Karasuno half of this matchup was the interesting team to watch. But yeah, fun match. Interested to see where it goes, because now we do have predictions, as we always do. So I just kind of wrote down a bunch of stuff, because I feel like we're now moving on to nationals. I don't really know what it could bring. I don't really know what teams they're facing. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of teams we've never seen before, because we've only been facing like in this prefecture, or we saw some other practices and stuff with other teams, but I feel like now the whole volleyball scene is going to crack wide open, and we're going to see so many other teams with so many other gimmicks and skills and all that stuff. So I just wrote a bunch of stuff down, just some little stuff, some big stuff, I don't know. So the first thing I got is this stage, this leg of this show or whatever. It is especially important for the third years, because they kind of reclaim the former glory of Karasuno, right? Not too long ago did they make it to nationals before, and they were touted as a pretty good team. They're a team you didn't want to mess with, and then it fell off, and they were awful, and they were the wingless crows, all that stuff. And I think that we are going to focus on the third years a lot in this. I think they're going to continue to be the foundation of this team, where I feel like none of the third years are especially flashy. I feel like that's a reason why someone like Kageyama is a starter and Sugawara isn't, because Suga is very reliable, but Kageyama is the one that can, like, Kageyama can score more points than than Sugawara. He's more of an X factor. Because you got that, and then you have Asahi, who's very powerful, but he doesn't really have too much more than that. And then you have Daichi, who's very good on defense, which is why we still have him there. But I think those 3 pieces they're going to focus on. I imagine we're going to, each member might learn up some new skills, or kind of craft, kind of polish the ones that they have right now. but I do think there's going to be an especially deep focus on the third years, because this is it. Not only did they reclaim the glory, but if they lose, they're not playing anymore. I mean, for this school, they might go on and play like in university or something like that, but it's over. So I think we're definitely gonna see more of that. Something else we got. I think Tsukishima's performance is gonna motivate the team to focus even more on defense. I think obviously we're gonna try to get some more weapons. Us just being really fast and explosive doesn't always work. We've seen that in many, many matches so far, which is why a lot of the second season was really developing those new weapons. I think we'll see a little bit more of that, but I think mostly it's going to focus more on defense, because if we can receive even the toughest of spikes or the trickiest of plays, that's going to help us be able to use these weapons. The Hinata and Kageyama quick attack or whatever will never get utilized if we just keep getting scored on because our defense is lacking. So I think that's, I think they're going to put even more focus on defense and, kind of learn some new tricks with that. I think that another interesting thing, kind of playing off the third years, is that Hinata is going to fight visibly harder to become the team's ace. I think we saw it a bit in the second season, and I love that because we saw Hinata mess up. He messed up a couple of times. He crashed, and one time he crashed into Asahi, and everyone's like, what are you doing, you idiot? That was clearly for Asahi. But everyone on the team, the coaches, even Asahi understood what he was doing. He's trying to be all right, you're dope and everything, and we've played a bunch of matches together, but I'm gonna be the ace of this team, and I have to prove myself that I can do that. And if I have to push you out, it's not personal, but I gotta push you out. And then we even have Asi kind of talking about it with Tsukishima was there, but there was someone else too. It might have been Daichi or Suga. I imagine it was one of the other. Or it could have been Nishinoya, because I know Nishinoya and Asi have a connection as well. It was someone else, but Asi was like, well, yeah, of course he's doing that. He wants to prove himself, and I'm the current ace, so he has to, quote unquote take me down, right? But even Asi was like, he can try, but I'm not just gonna give him the spot of ace. I'm gonna prove that I am still. I'm still useful to this team, and I am still an essential part to this, to this puzzle. And I just love that, it's like rivalry, it's like inter-team rivalry, but it's not out of hatred or anything. It's not like they're trying to take out each other's knees, but it is I'm new here and I'm trying to be the ace, so I'm going to prove myself. And I do think we're going to see more of that, while I said we're going to focus on third years a lot, I'm kind of going to contradict myself a little and say that we're going to focus on the freshmen a lot as well. But obviously in two completely different ways, right? With the freshmen, I think we are going to see them be pumped up even more. We have Tsukishima proving himself in the last one to not just be, he's just really tall and, he's pretty good at defense, I guess. No, he is essential and he is a game changer. And we've seen that with people like Hinata and Kageyama with the quick attack, but, there has to be something more than that. And I think that all the freshmen are going to try to show that they are not just a one-trick pony, where they do deserve to be on this team. And when the third years, eventually leave because they have to. That's just how time works. We're good when you leave. We will be okay. We'll miss you, of course, but we have the skills to still be a team and still be a competitor. So I think that's gonna be really cool as well. Something else I got. Oh yeah, I said that I don't really know that we'll see Karasuno face Nekoma in the finals, but I do think we will see a really dope match between the two. I feel like it'd be a little too cliche for the finals of the nationals to be Karasuno versus Nekoma. And it's just a little bit too, but I do think at some point they're going to reach each other in the tournament, and it's going to be a really cool match because we've seen them face each other before, mostly in practice, and it was always really cool because they are two very different teams, but they're two very, very, very skilled teams with a lot of potential, and they do things very differently. But I think now we've seen Karasuno grow so much, and I'm sure between the third and the fourth season they'll grow even more. And then we haven't seen too much of Nekoma since. I mean, especially with this season, like we didn't really see him at all. But they do have some new pieces as well, and I think when they reach each other in this fourth season, it's going to be something really special. You know, it's in the same way where whenever Karasuno faces Alba Joe's side, like, you know, some wild plays and some wild like dives, and you know, we got I don't remember his name now, the like leader of Alba Joe's side, I don't remember his name, but you know him like diving into the chairs on the sideline to not lose the match. I think we're gonna see some really cool stuff like that when they do eventually face Nekoma. Because in the end, we have our long play with, you know, we have all these smaller predictions of like the team and the individuals, and you know, like I just said, Karasuno versus Nekoma. But then we got the big one, right? The big one that everyone thinks about, where how far is Karasuno gonna make it in the nationals? Are they gonna make it to the finals? If not, who are they gonna lose to? If so, will they win? I would say, and it's a little safe, but I do think that if this season covers all of the nationals, because again, I don't know how big the nationals are, I don't know how many teams there are, I don't know how fast they're going to blow through some of these games, or if we are going to see like really detailed for each one of Karasuno's matches. I don't really know. But if this season does cover all of nationals, I do think Karasuno will win. I feel like it'd be like that anyway. I mean, the only reason I put that stipulation on there is because the season doesn't cover all of nationals, then we won't even get to see them if they face the finals or not. But I do think the way the show's going, I do think we're gonna see them get to the end and win it all. You know, I do think that is kind of the story they're building. I think part of me thinks, again, like, you keep using the word cliche. I do think part of me thinks that is a little too cliche. You know, like a little bit too. I don't know, like almost expected, because it's like, oh well, now they just win everything because they're the main characters of the show. But I think even though they have been winning, I think the show does a really good job of showing them struggle. You know, like they're not just blowing through all these teams. Like we are working for it. You know, that last one, like Ushijima was the favorites to win, or that's the name of the person. Shiratorizawa was the favorites to win, but neither team, like both teams had to work for that. You know, we went to all 5 sets. You know, we had a player injured. You know, so it really wasn't an easy win. You know, I think the show does a really good job of that. So I do think they'll win, and we'll see a lot of sweat and tears, and you know, all that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's pretty much all my predictions, small and big. I think this season was great. Going into the season, it was only 10 episodes, and I was really hoping that we would just focus on the one match, you know, and it wouldn't take like the first half of the season to focus on like building it and everything. Like, no, we just jumped right in, and I love that. And I'm very interested to see what the 4th season brings. Obviously, a lot of really good matches gonna come. It is broken up into like 2 halves though. I'm just gonna cover the whole thing. I'm not doing the 2 halves. You know, I'm kind of wondering why they did that. If it was just like a studio thing, or if it is like story based. But we'll see. We'll see how much it covers. We'll see if we get to the finals, and what happens then. Because if we don't, that's gonna be really tough. Way tougher than us losing in the first season. But yeah, I thought it was amazing. This show continues to be incredible, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this season. Let me know what you thought of the match, any big moments that I missed, and what your predictions are for the next season, how far you think they'll go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So until next time, just watch the 4th season, because I'm gonna binge all of it probably very soon.